Bit of a different location today, but there was too much noise by my house. There's cars driving by, so there's probably going to be noise here anyways. But I wanted to get a video in and I wanted to post it early. So today's talking about protein absorption again, and how much can you absorb in one sitting. Well, there's lots of information out there that says, you can only absorb 20 grams, or you can only absorb 30 grams, or, you can absorb 100 grams. It's just got to be the right quality and all this. Well, I think nutrition is one of those things it's very individual because of so many different factors. You've got your genetics, you've got your past history, you've got, if you have a colon, some people have certain parts of their colon removed. So it's like your digestion depends a lot on you. And I just wanted to share with you my experience with protein absorption. I made another video on this talking about water and how, when I dilute the stomach acids in my stomach by drinking a ton of water, whether that's before I eat or during my meal or after I eat, I can't absorb protein as well. And how do I know this? Is because, I get gassy. The gas is very foul smelling. So those are signs that you can tell that you're not absorbing. Maybe also, your body has worse digestion, your bowel movements aren't as good. So those are some signs, and those are things that I know definitely mean that the protein isn't being absorbed in my body. Well, what are, again, the limits, the range that I can get away with in regard to the amount of protein per sitting? Well, for me, I've started to realize that if I do a protein shake, whether it's whey protein or soy protein or collagen protein, if I have too much protein, I have those same symptoms in one sitting. I tend to use a little bit less water with that protein powder. I think that helps me as well. Like I said, diluting it just makes it worse. But I have also noticed that if I have more than about 40 grams of protein in a protein shake, it doesn't work very well for me. So that's my upper limit, the protein powders that I have used. So maybe I need to get ones that might have some enzymes in it or something like that. That's another thing that you can think about if you're really struggling with protein absorption, getting enzymes. I don't have any to recommend for you, but that's something that you can talk to a nutritionist about. But for me, the upper limit's around 40 grams, but I tend to find 30 grams is much better. So if I do 30 grams of protein shake, that's usually good, because I'd like to mix protein powder sometimes and put different things in there. So that's an upper limit on just protein powder. Well, what about protein sources? And this is something, again, it's personal to me. Take it for what it's worth, but maybe this can help you start experimenting and getting more information about yourself. Because for me, that's what nutrition's all about, is fine-tuning it for your specific goals and your specific, again, your past history, your genetics, right? Your lifestyle, what you like, what you don't like. Well, for me, with chicken, I've found I can get away with 50 to 60 grams of protein in a sitting and not have any trouble. If I have more than that, if I have a huge amount, that's when things start going bad. I also noticed that when I eat chicken, if I eat it with a salad or if I eat it with vegetables, I'm pretty good. Like, it helps my digestion. If I eat it with other things like rice or grains, or potatoes, or things that maybe are a little bit more carby, okay, maybe more, instead of it being more slow carbs with more fiber. I've talked about fiber before. That's when things aren't as digested as well. So for me, the best ways that I can digest, especially things like chicken, are if I'm just eating vegetables with it, or if I'm just eating it alone. And then again, if it's more than about 60 grams of chicken, bad things start happening with my digestion. I get those, foul smelling farts and gas and things like that. So for me, that's chicken. With fish, like, especially if it's low quality, like if I'm just eating a can of tuna, if I have like 50 to 60, that's bad. So I have to go for that, just one can, which is around 40. The one that I get from Costco is about 40 grams of protein. So for me, tuna and fish might be a little bit lower, depending on the source. But again, everything's a little bit different. I found that with beef, I might be able to get away with a little bit more protein. Maybe that has to do with the fact that there's more fat in it. I don't know exactly how all of that works, but I have found that about 50 to 60 grams of protein for myself is really the upper limit that I can take in one sitting. And maybe it's not, depending on the source, maybe it's not that high. So I like to stick to around 50 grams. I try to get 50 grams of protein at each meal, and then I have an extra protein shake. So that gives me around 180 grams of protein per day. My weight right now is around 165, 166, depending on the day, sometimes higher, sometimes lower, but my goal is to be a little bit heavier, 170, maybe 175. And if I want to get to that goal, I'm going to have 1 gram per pound of body weight on my body. So 1 gram of protein per 1 pound, which is going to be around 170, 175. I want to just try to get above that a little bit. So that's why I try to hit that 180 number. But again, if I'm powering it down, I'm getting 200, 215, grams of protein every single day. That starts to, again, screw up my digestion. So it's these little things that I started noticing with my digestion and how my body's reacting, that if you can pick up on those things, you can start to tell, oh, okay, protein shake, protein powders, that's too much protein per one sitting for me. So I'm going to either have to space them out, or for me, even if I have 2 protein shakes throughout the day, because I tend to have one with my breakfast, and I tend to have one just to fill in maybe after a workout or just throughout the day. I'll get 20 or 30 grams in a protein powder there, and I might get another 20 or 30 with the other one in the morning. So I'm having 60, maybe 70, 80 grams of protein powder throughout the day, depending on the day. So if I'm having more, then maybe I think probably around 80. So again, like I said, that 40 gram mark, even then I try to keep it under at about 30. So maybe 60 to 70 is about all my body can handle that day. For whatever reason, my body just does not want that much protein powder, because again, these aren't the greatest quality of things. Your body doesn't know what to do with it. But again, then I go to something like chicken, which I eat a lot of. That's something that my body just it can't process more than about 50 or 60 grams at one sitting. Now, maybe I could ramp that up with some enzymes, and I've done that before, but it's still, for me, I think it's like there's got to be some sort of genetic limit. I don't know exactly with it. But again, the whole point behind this video, and for me talking about this, is just to share my perspective on it and maybe get you thinking about maybe noticing some of these symptoms. I talked in the past about water. That's something that I would examine. If you need to drink a ton of water with your food, you probably don't have enough of the water-rich sources, fiber, fruits, vegetables in the meals that you're eating. So if you're not getting that and you need a lot of water, that's also diluting the digestive juices in your stomach that are going to help you break down that protein and then absorb it into your body. So again, if you're eating too much of the protein at one time, and again, that's going to be different for everybody, and it might even be different for the type of protein that you're eating, like I talked about with chicken or fish or beef, or those are pretty much what I eat. I do eat some tofu and tempeh and some vegetarian sources and things like that. My body seems to process that a little bit better. So again, everyone's genetics are a little bit different, but I don't think that there's a hard and fast rule in regard to how much you can have, but you have to test it out for yourself. If you're a smaller person, maybe it's smaller, or maybe your genetics are where you can have 75 grams in one sitting. So if your goal is to build and you want that absorption and you need to get that 1 gram per 1 pound of body weight of protein every single day, then you're going to have to start examining how are you going to be able to get that. Maybe you're going to have to start spacing out your meals, right? Or maybe you can get away with more at one time and you're just going to have a big loading into it. So again, there's lots of things out there. I just wanted to, again, share my perspective and share with you that, hey, this is a process. You're going to have to figure these things out. I'm someone, I've used nutritionists, and I've, studied nutrition. I've done all these things, and none of them could give me one solid rule that made everything work exactly for me. I had to figure that out, and it's a process. So hopefully that helps with you. Do some journaling, do some writing. When you eat, how do you feel? What's your digestion like? And you're going to to have more information for yourself so that you can start going, oh, okay, I started to notice that with chicken, I can get away with a little bit more. Or with protein powder, man, it's like, everything goes to shit, literally. So that's just something for you to think about in regard to your protein absorption and your muscle building goals. So hopefully you got something out of that. And until next time, I'll see you then.